Everybody. This weekend has been dominated by just silliness. The Conservative Party, CPC HQ, and Andrew Scheer posted this parody on their Facebook on Saturday, so yesterday. And I bookmarked it, I'd meant to watch it, and by the time I got to watch it, everything else exploded, and I'll show you what I mean. But it is incredible that a parody video that includes is factually accurate is being treated this way. So they used I'll show you at the beginning of the video, it says the following video is a parody. While it depicts actual events, it's not associated with Historica Canada in any way. And at the end, I'll show you the part of our heritage. See, they're using I don't want to show the whole video just for copyright scrub, but they've got the Canadian Heritage Minutes thing here, right? Conservative Party of Canada, Canadian flag. And here's the CBC riding in, right? White knighting, Tories delete parody ad as Heritage Minutes contemplates legal action. Whew. Historica Canada says they often welcome spoofs, but not for partisan purposes. The Federal Conservative Party has deleted a political attack ad portraying the Heritage Minutes after receiving a request from the organization that produces the historical TV segments. The video, entitled Liberal Scandals, Part of Our Heritage, was posted to leader Andrew Scheer's Twitter and Facebook accounts Saturday night. By the next morning, Historica Canada, the non-partisan organization that makes the videos, released a statement calling for the removal of the video. Quote, "While we often welcome parodies of the minutes, we do not approve of them being used for partisan political purposes," it reads. The video was deleted in the afternoon and then reposted by Andrew Scheer on Facebook with the parody disclaimer. So that needs to be stated. He didn't just delete it. He didn't back down. But I wanted to address the partisan purposes. Here's the Rick Mercer report. And this is a very partisan attack ad that aired in 2006. He blames the death of his wife on her falling asleep on a beach. And the whole setup is that by 2016, the earth is so hot that his son has to put on a, quote, spacesuit to go outside. And they blame the Conservatives for not caring about the environment or gay people. I'm not kidding, and I'm not going to play any of it, but this is okay. And the Conservative attack ad is not okay at all. And here's the Historica Canada tweet. It says a statement on the fake, quote, Heritage Minute shared by CPC HQ and Andrew Scheer. And the Rick Mercer report find is Cemetery 21. So thank you, sir. Appreciate it. But it's still relevant. It makes sense. They don't like partisan things when it's partisan against or partisan used for the Conservative Party. But if it's against the Conservative Party, no problem. Here's the Historica Canada's statement. Quote, "The Federal Conservative Party of Canada has released a spoof Heritage Minute that uses phrasing and images long associated with the real minutes, which are produced by our organization, Historica Canada. While we often welcome parodies of the minutes, we do not approve of them being used for partisan political purposes. We are a non-partisan charitable organization that works with governments at various levels and supporters of all political stripes. We are therefore asking the Conservative Party to immediately remove this from all media platforms." It's interesting, Historica Canada. You can have no problem with Rick Mercer doing a very partisan attack ad against the Conservatives, but the second the Conservatives want to use any branding, that's a problem for you, and you're nonpartisan and you want to be above politics? I don't think so. So here is Andrew Scheer's response. At Historica Canada does tremendous work promoting Canadian history. Out of respect, I've ordered CPC HQ to repost the video with a disclaimer that indicates our video has no connection to Historica. While our video is a parody, Trudeau's ethical breaches are sadly all too real. And yeah, you can watch the whole thing for yourself. The link is in the description. The charges are accurate, and it's true. We have a sitting prime minister who has broken the law, and there are no consequences in the Canadian system for that. It doesn't matter. He said sorry, so tough luck. Pretty wild, right? Here is a Maxime Bernier Twitter roundup, because I haven't done one in a while. He's been promoting his Dave Rubin interview. If you haven't seen that, a link will be in the description. And I just went through and cherry-picked things that he's actually said. He's retweeted some other things, and there's been some other action on Twitter, but these are the main things that he's actually said over the last couple of days. So starting February 1st, 2019, he says, quote, "Climate change propaganda on the CBC. How surprising." And this is Laurie Goldstein saying, "Interesting. CBC Ombudsman says CBC failed to comply with its own journalistic standards on accuracy and impartiality in 2 stories on climate change. Even the corrections the CBC eventually made violated principles on correction of errors and honesty. Ombudsman, and then there's a link for the Ombudsman document. And so that's not good for them. And the next tweet is 5:31 a.m. on February 1st. It says, more balanced and objective coverage from Wendy Mesley. I can feel the sarcasm tag on that one. When will we see a report about how she and her colleagues belonging to the lunatic left have changed Canada for the worse? Vote for the PPC if you want Wendy Mesley to be out of a job next year. And Wendy Mesley was tweeting, Christian right groups are mobilizing and influencing politics around the world. We took a look at how they want to change Canada. Those Christian right groups, we'll see how influential they are in a minute. Here's Maxime Bernier again on February 2nd at 6:36 a.m. Says Scheer only criticizes the obvious, the flood of illegal immigrants. Sorry, let me correct that. The flood of illegal migrants. He says nothing to say about reducing overall immigration levels, about shared values and cultural norms, about focusing on Canada's economic needs, about Libs accepting more senior immigrants. Libcon and loony politics says Scheer criticizes Trudeau on immigration, argues system integrity damaged. And it's part of that having a very narrow conversation, right? Like, you broke the system and I'm going to fix the system. That says nothing, but it says, well, it's going to be better than this guy, right? This guy's terrible. But we get into a trap of, well, he's not actually better, right? He's done nothing. He's still bringing in seniors. He's still bringing in sick people. He's calling it temporary foreign workers. But there's a reason people went to Trudeau, and there's a reason they kicked out the Harper government. And I still feel like that. So I agree with Mr. Bernier. So big surprise there, I suppose. I am biased, everybody. I apologize. And no, I don't apologize. I am glad that you know that I'm biased. So please know that going forward. Maxime Bernier again, tweeting at 5:57 a.m. on February 2nd, says, more craziness from the CBC, our very own imperialistic public broadcaster that unfairly competes with private media thanks to the $1 billion subsidy it gets. CBC head under fire for comparing Netflix to the British Raj, warns of cultural imperialism. CBC, and this is a link to the Globe and Mail article. It says CBC head warns Netflix poses cultural threat to Canada. And I read that article, and that was kind of happening over the weekend too. And I almost chose that as a subject, but it's so silly that it's just more, like, yet more proof that the news is so out of touch that they're running stories like that. Like, it's just, back to Maxime Bernier. He says, Dutch Heritage Day? This is another typical example of the pandering at which both the Conservative and the Liberals have become expert. They outbid each other in trying to appeal to different groups and treat everyone as members of tribes instead of as Canadians. And this is a response to a tweet, the case for Dutch Heritage Day. Right, Dutch Heritage Day matters to a lot of Canadians. Maxime Bernier again on February 2nd at 6:18 p.m., a few days after a report by intellectually dishonest Wendy Mesley targeting the Christian right for defending their values. We saw that at the top. The CBC cheerfully invites Canadians to an event promoting a controversial feature of Islamic culture. Have the inmates taken over the CBC asylum? And this is in response to CBC London tweeting out, you're invited to try on the hijab for World Hijab Day. Welcome to Canada, everybody. Put on your head covering, right? Only if you're a woman, though, right? If you're a man, grow your beard. Maxime Bernier again. On 5:15 a.m. on February 3rd, this Liberal government is already indirectly manipulating the news to its advantage with its increased funding to the Liberal-friendly CBC and its $600 million bailout of other media. And now it wants to protect us from fake news. And this is a Toronto Sun article by Fury. Be wary of the Liberals' plan to police fake news during the election. Maxime Bernier tweeting again, 6:09 a.m. on February 3rd. Leftist logic. Big red X, wear a Chinese dress at prom. Big red X, wear an Aboriginal costume at Halloween. Big red X, wear dreadlocks if you're white, and especially if you're a comedian. Big red X, teach yoga if you're not Indian. That's all cultural appreciation. The tweet says equals cultural appreciation. Big green checkmark, try on a hijab on World Hijab Day. Diversity, that's diversity. What kind of insanity, and I think Mr. Bernier hits the nail on the head, have the inmates taken over the asylum? Are the crazy people running things? It seems that way at the CBC. Here's another tweet by Mr. Bernier, 10:26 a.m. on February 3rd. He says that would require CBC journalists to follow basic journalistic standards such as objectivity, balance, and fairness. That's something many of them who are essentially left-wing activists masquerading as journalists simply do not care about. And this is a tweet by Imam Mohammed Tawhidi, or the Imam of Peace, and I follow him. He's quite an interesting person. He had a Twitter ban briefly. I'm glad to see he's back. But he says, women should be able to wear and not wear whatever they want. However, you, a national broadcaster funded by the taxpayers, have no right to promote a particular religious practice. If you promote World Hijab Day, then you must also give the No Hijab Day an equal promotion. And then there's a link to No Hijab Day. I'm not actually sure where the link goes. So a link to the tweet will be in the comments, and you can find out for yourself if you'd like. And the last tweet this evening, and I thought, wow, gloves are off. It's election season, everybody. I love it. Maxime Bernier tweeting at 11:41 a.m. Oh, I guess so it was earlier than the other one I showed, so I apologize. But he says, quote, people of Burnaby South, don't waste your vote on a loser who's already being ditched by half his team. Join the team with the momentum and vote for Laura Lynn TT. And that's the People Party expert. And there's a picture of Jagmeet Singh, and it's a CBC article that says MPs warned Signh in June that he's through as leader if he can't win Burnaby. So two senior members of the federal NDP caucus warned NDP leader Jagmeet Singh back in June that he won't be able to hang on as party leader if he loses the Burnaby by-election, which I think is very true. I think he's got a difficult road if he does win, even in a full election. Their fundraising is tanking. They're in a lot of trouble. Really, there's no doubt about that, and the momentum is certainly not on their side. There's not a Jack Layton-esque figure. Mr. Signh is certainly not that popular and not that plugged into the NDP ground game. And I've heard multiple times, and Mr. Bernier's tweet here is the most recent example of people saying that high-placed. I've heard that even Cullen isn't running again, but I'm not sure I have a link for that, and I'm not going to look for it right now. But there are ton of high-placed people who are running for NDP leadership who are not running in 2019, and that poses a big problem for Mr. Signh or whoever eventually replaces him if he loses in Burnaby. Interesting times, interesting weekend when a nonpartisan group can throw a hissy fit, even though they're fine with it as long as you're attacking the Conservatives. Very interesting. And Maxime Bernier, gloves are off, and he's taken swings at pretty much everybody. So, interesting times to be alive. I hope your football team wins. I hope you got a good square on the square pool and eat a lot of nachos. Man, I love nachos. All right, have a wonderful evening, everybody. Thanks for watching.